Welcome to the True Crime Storyteller. This video contains audio only. If you want to see images from the true crime stories, check out my Instagram account and tap the follow button to stay tuned. In the Mind of a Monster, the chilling tale of Austin Harrouff. On the evening of August 15, 2016, as the sun slowly sank behind the swaying palm trees of Jupiter, Florida, an eerie silence hung in the air. The streets were calm, and the evening seemed peaceful, with families sitting outside enjoying the warm breeze. The town, located in the ever-sunny Palm Beach County, was known for its tranquil atmosphere and affluent neighborhoods, where families lived in luxurious homes overlooking the water. But behind this facade of tranquility lurked a threat that would change the lives of its residents forever. Austin Harrouff, a 19-year-old student at Florida State University, appeared to be the ideal young man at first glance. He was well-built, passionate about bodybuilding, and had a strong ambition to shape his future. His friends described him as a dedicated student, always willing to help and involved in his community. Austin had a wide range of interests, from sports to music, and enjoyed the social life on campus. He came from a close-knit family where his parents, Wade and Mary, did their best to provide him with a loving and stable environment. They were proud of his accomplishments and hoped he would build a successful career. Despite these positive influences, cracks began to appear in his mental well-being. Odd behavior patterns and increasing anxieties caused unrest within the family, but the severity of the situation remained unclear to them. Austin's struggle with his mental health would ultimately impact his life and that of others in a horrific way. Yet something was brewing beneath the surface. In the weeks leading up to the tragedy, those close to him noticed Austin becoming increasingly strange in his behavior. He spoke about conspiracy theories and supernatural forces, and his mental health rapidly deteriorated. Despite his charming facade, demonic thoughts fought within him that he could neither understand nor control. What would unfold that evening would not only devastate the lives of John Stevens III and Michelle Mishkan, but also cast a shadow over the entire community of Jupiter. The name Austin Harrouff would forever be associated with one of the most chilling crimes in recent U.S. history, leaving the once innocent town forever changed. In the weeks prior to the tragic events, Austin Harrouff began to exhibit increasingly bizarre behavior, raising concern among his family and friends. He became obsessed with conspiracy theories, spoke of supernatural forces, and showed signs of paranoid thoughts. He even claimed to be haunted by spirits. His father, Wade Harrouff, recalled a specific moment when Austin came home and voiced these fears. Despite these troubling signals, his family and friends largely attributed his behavior to the stress of his studies at Florida State University. The evening of the tragedy unfolded anything but normally. Austin went with his father and stepmother to Duffy's Sports Grill for dinner. From the moment they arrived, Austin was restless and unpredictable. He took only a few bites of his food, which was unusual given his love for bodybuilding and typically healthy appetite. He appeared extremely frustrated, as if he were fighting invisible foes. Wade saw the unrest in his son's eyes, but had no idea how deep Austin's inner turmoil ran. At one point, Austin suddenly stood up without explanation and left the restaurant. Wade, though surprised, followed him outside in hopes of calming him down and understanding what was going on. However, the attempt to reach Austin was completely fruitless. Austin ignored his father, as if trapped in his own world, and walked away with determination, disappearing into the darkness of the night. As Wade spoke, Austin looked at him with vacant eyes and simply walked on. His nighttime journey took him through the quiet streets of Jupiter, an affluent suburb known for its peaceful atmosphere. As he wandered the streets, his thoughts seemed to grow increasingly dark. What was taking place in his mind remains a mystery. Witnesses saw him meandering without a clear purpose, as if he were in a trance. Ultimately, Austin arrived at the home of John Stevens III and Michelle Mishkan, a couple quietly enjoying the evening on their driveway. It would be the last evening of their lives. John and Michelle were a beloved couple in the neighborhood, known for their kindness and the warm atmosphere they radiated. They enjoyed their quiet life and spent many evenings on their driveway, sitting in comfortable chairs while talking about life, their dreams, and the future. The sultry summer evening of August 15th seemed like a typical night. They savored the fresh air, the starry sky, and each other's company, with no indication of the ominous event that would tragically end their lives. Without warning or provocation, Austin launched himself at the couple with an unprecedented rage. John, who was in good shape and had previously worked as a professional coach, was determined to protect his wife. But the attacker, driven by a madness no one could comprehend, showed no mercy. Austin struck John first with a knife he had picked up from the property. The initial stab caught John off guard, rendering him unable to adequately respond to the brutal force of his attacker. Michelle, panicking and trying to flee, was not quick enough. Austin, behaving like a predator, chased her down and overpowered her with the same cruel determination. The attack was nothing short of animalistic. It was as if he were in another world, driven by an inexplicable urge for violence. After inflicting the fatal stabs, Austin began to mutilate the bodies of his victims, like a beast intent on obliterating any trace of humanity within them. The horrific scene that the police encountered was a shocking sight. When officers arrived after a 911 call from a witness who had heard the screams, they found Austin sitting on the body of John Stevens. To their astonishment, he was in the act of biting pieces from his face. His mouth, hands, and clothes were soaked in blood. The officers heard him growling and hissing like a wild animal, realizing they were dealing with something unfathomable. The chaos of that evening would not only destroy the lives of the victims, but also cast a shadow over the entire community. The police officers who arrived on the scene described the nightmare unfolding before their eyes as a gruesome scene from a horror movie. Austin appeared completely entranced, oblivious to his surroundings as he continued his grotesque act. When officers attempted to arrest him, he offered fierce resistance. Despite the use of tasers and the deployment of police dogs, he remained resolute in sinking his teeth into Stevens' body. It was as if he had superhuman strength, one officer later recounted. He was unresponsive, as if he were not of this world. The chaos surrounding him was incomprehensible. He seemed to exist in his own dark reality. The officers felt a sense of desperation as they tried to pry him away from his victim, which felt like an eternity. Ultimately, after what seemed like an impossible struggle, they succeeded in subduing Austin and handcuffing him. When he was finally placed in the police car, his eyes were vacant, like those of someone who had just awoken from a deep sleep. His body was relaxed, as if the horror around him were not real. But the reality was undeniable. The horrific act had occurred and would haunt the Jupiter community for a long time. The shadow of this tragedy loomed over the streets as neighbors and friends grappled with the wounds in their community. The questions of why this happened would never be fully answered, and the memory of that fateful night would remain in their hearts. After Austin was arrested and the bloody scene was secured, questions began to pile up. How could a 19-year-old with no criminal history or clear signs of danger descend into such an inhumane act? What had driven him to this horror? Rumors soon surfaced that he was under the influence of flakka, a notorious synthetic drug known for causing intense hallucinations and violent outbursts. However, toxicology tests revealed no traces of drugs in his system, apart from some marijuana, which only fueled speculation. Attention quickly shifted to Austin's mental state. Psychologists and experts tried to understand what was going on in his mind during that fateful night. Austin later claimed he was haunted by demons and felt supernatural forces making him immortal. His family shared that Austin had been exhibiting increasingly strange behavior in the weeks leading up to the attack. He withdrew, spoke of delusions, and believed he possessed superhuman powers. Friends noted that his behavior was becoming more distant and paranoid, with bouts of uncontrollable rage. Experts argued that Austin was psychotic at the time of the murders, impairing his understanding of what he was doing. Testimonies from friends and family, describing his bizarre behavior in the weeks leading up to the attack, supported this argument. It was an emotionally charged trial, with the victims' families expressing irreconcilable feelings of anger and grief. They felt that the trial not only denied them justice, but also that the system had let them down. Ultimately, to the outrage of the victims' families, Austin Harrouff was found not guilty of murder due to insanity. The verdict shocked the community and led to intense discussions about mental health responsibilities within the justice system. Austin was instead committed to a psychiatric hospital, where he will remain indefinitely. The decision created a lasting rift between the justice system and the victims, with questions arising from the tragedy that would never be fully answered. Although the trial is over, questions surrounding Austin Harrouff's case linger like a shadow. How could a young man seemingly leading a normal life transform into a murderer? Was it a sudden mental breakdown, the result of years of hidden trauma and stress? Was he always dangerous, with a dark side lying beneath the surface? Or was this a one-time eruption of madness that no one could have predicted, a tragic convergence of circumstances leading to an irreversible act? Whatever the truth may be, the pain for the families of John Stevens and Michelle Mishcon remains intense. Their loved ones were taken from them in the most horrific way, leaving deep wounds in their community. The impact of this tragedy is felt in every corner of Jupiter, where neighbors comfort one another, share memories, and try to understand what happened. The loss of John and Michelle has not only torn apart their families, but has also forced a community to confront the fragility of life and the sometimes unpredictable nature of humanity. The questions remain unanswered, but the memories of the victims endure, serving as a quiet reminder of life's dark side. As we draw this episode to a close, we want to take a moment to reflect on the complex and haunting case of Austin Harrouff. What did you think about the events that unfolded that fateful night? The intersection of mental health and crime is a deeply troubling topic. How do you feel about the questions surrounding responsibility in such cases? We know that stories like this can evoke a range of emotions, from anger to sadness to disbelief. Are you interested in hearing more about other true crime cases that challenge our understanding of human behavior? Your feedback is invaluable to us, and it helps guide our future episodes. If you enjoyed this dive into true crime, please subscribe and share your thoughts with us on social media or through our website. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, remember to stay curious and vigilant in this complex world we live in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.